Jaime Buell. No, I don't. I mean, maybe I do and I don't know about it, but there's not one that I know about. Probably El Jefe. He was the first one to get a nickname and it really suits him. And we use it all the time. We see other businesses or other signs that have El Jefe on it and we take pictures and send it to him. Like it's just, we can give him a lot of grief with that name. Almost 5 years, here in Kenosha, 3.5. So if I were to tell you the truth, my job brought us back up north from North Carolina in 2013, and Scott came up shortly thereafter, and he was still doing some part-time consulting with his old business in North Carolina. But I pretty much told him, like, you got to get a job, man. Like, I don't care what it is. You don't have to make a lot of money. Just go do something that makes you happy. And this is where we landed. The funny part of it is we did this. He started this when I left my job and went back to grad school. So that was brilliant timing on our part because nobody was making money and we were all spending it like mad. But as we started to grow and started to realize we wanted something different than doing art shows for the rest of our lives, this is where we landed. We came up to Kenosha, fell in love with the area, didn't necessarily intend to move here, but we bought a space that could accommodate more than just work. And so it made sense just to move everything up here. And so I make the commute to Chicago almost daily while the crew here does their thing. It's actually not, but you'd think so because now that I think about it, every male that works here has at least a mustache, if not a beard. So you won't usually see me here. What I do, I tend to do behind the scenes. So I do more of our business and strategy work. I'm Scott's thought partner when we're trying to figure out where to take the business and how to make some of the tough decisions that come along with a growing company. I weigh in a lot on all the stuff we do with our people and our teams. I'm a consultant focused on the intersection of culture, coaching, and change to drive business transformation. So I bring a lot of that back here too. So you don't normally see me here. That's not the role I play anymore. It was early on. It's not so much anymore. So the things I do are more business and strategy and people work behind the scenes. I think it's fun to have the insider view of how things have changed and how we've grown in just a handful of years. And we still have so many challenges as growing businesses do. They pop up sometimes on a near hourly basis. But we can look back and say, you know what, this time last year, this was the challenge. Here's how it's changed year over year. And that is a representation of how we've grown. So that part of it is fun. It's just being able to be part of that and look back on it and see all the progress and kind of put in perspective, like, yeah, we still have a lot of challenges, but man, we're making some great strides. Thinking. I think one that stands out to me, I don't know if I have just one, but one that stands out to me is Scott had the idea to take an old set of beat up lockers and effectively turn it on its side, cut out the door, put in some like fancy metal paneling, put legs and a tabletop on it, and it became an entertainment center for somebody. And if you, like, just looking at that beat up locker standing upright, it was really easy to look at it and be like, what in the world are we doing? But the end product was amazing. We get a fair amount of that in here. We've had somebody bring in legs from their grandma's sewing machine and be like, hey, these are all that's left. Can you build me a table? Yep, we can. And we did. And it looked super cool. Watching the transformation, watching all these like random parts and pieces turn into something amazing is the cool part of this. Well, I would clarify a bit the restored, because we don't, a gazillion years ago, we restored, like in the traditional sense of restoring antique furniture. We don't do that anymore. Now we'll take it and we'll do different things with it, and we might hack it all up and turn it into something different, but parts and pieces of it will still be there. So we don't really do restoration anymore. We're building a table right now where somebody brought in some pieces of live edge wood that came off of their property. So it has historical and family significance to them, and it was just pieces of wood. And we had to figure out how to turn those into a table because, of course, live edge, you can't just sit them side by side and they all fit together. So you have to figure out, like, how do we maneuver this? How do we fit them together? What do we use as the filler in between? And keep it within their budget. And so all of those things like create the challenge, and then the team goes out trying to solve it. So it's not unusual for something very random to walk through the door or something that looks like a hunk of junk. And in the end, that's not how it turns out. Like, that's kind of our norm. So I think I maybe have two. One is this store can be a little overwhelming if you don't come in with an idea or something you're trying to accomplish, because there's so much cool stuff here. So think, before you walk in the door, think about what might I want to do, or look some stuff up on Pinterest and just have some ideas, because then it's easier to go on a scavenger hunt if you know what you're looking for. Otherwise it can be overwhelming. We get a lot of people that come in here and are like, this place is so cool, but I can't figure out what to do with all of this. I need to go home and think. That's fine too, but it might be helpful to just come in with a general direction. If you're actually working with our materials, super important to not be a perfectionist, and this has caught us by surprise more than once. I think it's a lesson we continue to learn. But when you're working with imperfect materials, you are not going to get fine finishes. You just have to accept that. So you have to work with the characteristics of the product that you buy and just be okay with how they turn out. One of the things I tell the crew here all the time, because they get super nitpicky as artists and craftsmen do about their stuff, and that's one of our finest qualities, but sometimes we take it too far, and they point out stuff that quite literally no one else in the world would ever notice. And they do that because they take pride in their work. But again, you're working with reclaimed materials, you're working with stuff that's imperfect, and you've got to just embrace this is imperfect, and that is what makes it cool. So industrial building and industrial neighborhood. And Scott and I really enjoy being outside, but this building takes up the majority of the property that comes with it, and the back lot is literally just a gravel lot that's trailer storage. And so when you talk about having like a comfortable space for us or our team to hang out, take a break, put their feet up for a minute, it didn't exist here before this year. So, and that was really a gap for us. So we took a bunch of reclaimed stuff, gave it some paint, gave it some finish, fixed it up a little bit, and made a seating area and kind of a comfortable, fun, colorful zone outside where everybody can go and just chill when they need to chill for a bit. There's a little bit of a, cobbler's children don't get shoes scenario around here. And the stuff that is a priority does get done, but if it's not a priority, our client stuff is, and that always comes first. So if you were to walk around our house, you'll see a lot of unique uses for things, and a lot of things that have been given new life in a way you'd never imagine. We've got that spread throughout our home. That happens, yes. I try to let it sell first. But if it's been down for sale for a while and it hasn't sold, I will absolutely snag it. It's also part of the fun of this is I can take something upstairs and I can use it for a while. And when I find something different or I just get tired of it, I can bring it down and put it back for sale and grab something different. And that actually is kind of the fun of it. So I don't know if anyone else told you the story of how that came about, but we were literally at an establishment consuming a lot of beverages, brainstorming a list of like slogans, and I swear we came up with like 100 of them. But when we came up with sarcasm and sawdust, everybody was like, oh, done. Like, that's it. The sawdust piece, I think, is obvious. You can't go anywhere here without getting covered in sawdust. It's just part of the nature of it. And if you know Scott, sarcasm just comes along with the joy of knowing him, and I don't have a limited amount of that either. So it neither does El Jefe, and for a long while it was just the three of us. So sarcasm is how we deal with a lot of stuff and how we bring humor to against the grain on a daily basis. Probably not. I would like to think so, but probably not.